Good afternoon. George Cavalier George Cavalier goes for HFT bonds. We're just talking about Phil Mickelson threatening to move out of California because their taxes are so high. I think you ought to start thinking about maybe the whole country, because they're all going up. Until these guys in Washington figure out how to stop their spending sprees and all the silly little boondoggles and pork barrels that they all play around with, we're all going to be paying more taxes. Oh well, at least the ones of us who are paying taxes, I guess I should say. Okay, back to the markets. Unbelievable trade today. Everything went straight up after an unbelievable choppy overnight session. Crazy stuff last night. The BOJ comes out and says they're going to start their QE. Kind of confused a little bit where they do say that they're going to start other asset purchases in 2014. Not sure what they mean by that. Market whipped around heavily last night. We went, chopping back and forth across these ranges like 3-4 times last night. The London opening, we saw a very powerful German economic sentiment and European economic sentiment numbers came out. Very strong. The strongest in like 10 years, I think they said. That put the markets down. We were sitting around the lows, tried to buy the dip a couple times this morning into the buyback trade. Didn't really get a great location. Market did trade up, got out too early again, but that's all right. Made a little bit of money. Now, we're still looking at, I think the market's going to go back up. I think we're in some kind of a C wave trade here. It's hard to count. These corrections are difficult, guys. I've said this numerous times. Corrective trades are very difficult. There's 11 common Elliott wave corrective patterns. Trying to figure out what they are as they move and morph into, more and more different corrective patterns. Whatever we're looking at a retest of recent highs, I think. 132.15 plus on the 10-year. And 146.16, I think, on the bonds. And if you remember in the bonds, we still have that gap up above us, 146.16 to 146.23. A flat would be retesting those previous highs. Some kind of an irregular corrective double zigzag pattern would go a little bit higher. Actually, I'm looking at a couple different objectives here. On the 10-year, we're looking at 132.13, 132.15, 132.17 as various C equals A targets. On the bonds, I've got a couple up here too. 146.17, 146.23, which would also fill the gap. It's also a fib extension. And then 147.28 is a full-blown C equals A off of the 143.17 lows, I think. Is that right? 143.14? Can't remember the exact low, but those are the kind of things we're looking at here. Trying to buy a dip tonight. We're back into the buyback mode. We have some data tomorrow, but I think it's a housing price index, no big deal. So I'm looking to play the buyback trade. I want to buy a dip tonight. I just highlighted some levels in the chat room. I know a lot more people are looking at these videos and are not, coming into the chat room. Come on in, give it a try. 7-day free trial. See if you like it. If you do, maybe you'll hang around and join our club or our community. On the upside, I gave you the levels that we're looking for, the downside targets here. What I posted in the chat, there's a bunch of areas where we kind of gapped up through the trade today, and we did not leave a lot of volume at those levels. We're trading right at one of them right now at 7 plus, 7 plus. I'd probably wait a little bit because of the big equity trade. I gotta imagine that our friends in Asia will be selling a little bit of the bonds again and notes. Maybe even our hedge fund buddies in London, even though they're pretty flat here. We've seen on the commitment of traders data a big drop in the large spec positions. They're almost flat. They are still a little bit long. Dealers are increasing their long positions, and small specs are getting shorter. That's why I want to be buying these dips, I think. I'd love to see that 132.04 plus level to 03 on the 10-year. And on the bonds, 145.21, 22 is the low volume area there. Might even get a little bit more than that. You know, the way the boys were, you know, rocking in the equities markets after the close and after the earnings of Google and IBM, you know, we could see a pretty hefty equity trade up in the Asian markets, which have been trading pretty well, and maybe even in the European markets tomorrow morning. So that'll tend to pressure the treasuries, even though it didn't really pressure the treasuries late this afternoon. Guys in the States aren't playing the, you know, equities are rallying and sell treasuries game. I think there's so much liquidity around that there's still demand to buy bonds, even though they're pushing money into equities still. There's still enough money sloshing around the system here to give them the opportunity to buy bonds at the same time. Alright guys, that's about it. I'll see you in the Twitter feed later on if I see anything change. Have a great night.